So I guess the first question is, I'll speak to you first, Pippa. How did all this come about, and what you've done here?
So first of all, I'd like to just give the listeners a little bit of history of the street. So in the 1970s, this was pedestrianised and turned into a mews. So Audrey Chalmers lived down here, who was a Labour councillor for over 30 years and the mayor, and Mom did, Maud Swift as well. And some of the gardens, they were given the choice to give over their little gardens. So some have given their gardens over, and it was all made into a beautiful mews. And at the time, my grandparents lived here, so I remember it. We had benches just round the corner, which is a quiet area. Unfortunately, like everything, they got vandalised in time. But over the years, the bushes that they have planted in have overgrown, and a lot of them were thorny. And so we got a lot of ivy, we got a lot of brambles as well. And that created more litter, and the litter was getting caught up within the branches. And unfortunately, the council have cut their bills, so they'd only come twice a year, just give it a quick trim, a bit of a weed, and everything had really just gone overgrown. And our real problem was round the corner in the quiet area is it became a fly tipping area. So there was mattresses and sofas and things put in there. Some bright spark decided to set fire to it, and that damaged Sean and Erica's fence. And so I've got to hand over to Alan, because Alan was our mayor last year, and he got a little bit of funding to put a plaque up for Audrey Chalmers, and a little bit cash left from the co-op. And would we like to do something for the Diamond Jubilee for the Queen? Well, there wasn't much uptake on that, but we did talk about doing the gardens and renovating the gardens. But as you remember, last year was so hot, we were a bit slow going, weren't we? But it was definitely Alan that inspired me to do it, because 3 of us have got arthritis that work on the garden, and I was moaning to him, well, I don't think I can dig. But he says, well, I'm 84 and I'm the councillor and I'm the mayor, so if I can do it. And I thought, yes, get off your bum and get on and do it. So, Alan, over to you.
Yeah, the variety of buildings here is remarkable. A lot of people who live actually in the area don't know some of the thatch buildings and 16th, 17th century buildings which are hidden away up alleyways, etc. So it's a very exciting area to represent. But particularly this street and this area, it wasn't due to me. I've been a councillor for 6 areas of the city since 71 when I came on the council, and this is the most attractive and interesting and rewarding area I've ever represented, and I will be coming off the council in 3 years' time, and I won't regret coming off the council or being the mayor of Peterborough, but I will regret very much surrendering representing this area of the town. Now, what is important is Audrey set things going 30 years ago, but that's not been taken up by me. It's been taken up by the people like Pippa and fellow residents of Tower Street, and they're the people who've done this, not me. I haven't done any of the physical work and the drive, and it shows you that residents, if they're willing to participate, join together, what they can achieve. The council has helped to a certain extent. It's going to be very hard in the next few years. There's massive cuts coming, unfortunately, on services, which the people don't know about yet. But people like Pepper and fellow residents can make this up. It's the people which count. It's not the finance to a certain extent. Okay, community centres are important, but if people believe in their own influence and environment, as the people of the street have done. And if people haven't been along and seen it, it is really magnificent.
Well, I agree, and thank you for that. So, for people who haven't been along and seen it, how would you describe it to somebody? We've got audio now, so how would you describe it on to somebody who has not been here? I think that's a very fair word, quirky, yeah, but lovely.
So the first budget that we had from the co-op was £300. So you can imagine half a street. We didn't have the money to redo all of the gardens again. So that's why I stepped in, because I've got a textile background and I used a lot of recycling. So we used repurpose and recycling as a theme, as a cheap theme. So we did get a lot of help. Alan got the payback team to actually do the digging of these huge bushes, and Aragon took all the rubbish away. So we started small with a herb garden to begin with, and we built Herbie. So this was our experiment because we all thought it was going to get damaged. So £2 it cost me from the charity shop, little baby's jeans, little wellies, filled it with soil, put a planter on it, put it on the social media, and it went wild. So I called him Herbie, but he got renamed Chucky because he looked very much like
Right.
So then that became the thing, because we thought it would get destroyed, but it didn't. And the comments that we did in that small area of the garden was just phenomenal. So Erica and Sean, down the side of their house, the bushes were so bad that the ivy had damaged their house. It had grown up to the eaves. We had some of the payback team, as well as themselves, taking all of the bushes out along that area. Sean gave his week up at work to build a fence out of pallets again. We got PEC to come along, that's Peterborough Environment Charity, and they gave us the wild seed, and that looked absolutely amazing this summer, and everybody's enjoyed it. We've campaigned with the local businesses, so Rose Builders gave us lots of wood and gravel. We've got tyres from Rosso's Garage, we've got bicycle wheels from Woodston Cycles, and also the communities that we are fortunately close to, the Green Backyard, Haven and Rail World, they've made donations as well. Plants were given to us by the Green Backyard, so that was fantastic. But what has really been fantastic is the people that come down the street. The donations, the comments that we get on the Facebook channel, and the things that they've left us. There's far too many to talk about tonight, but one or two stick in our minds is, I walked back from the shops one day and there was a bag laying on the garden. I thought, who's left that there? And inside was a note with 3 gnomes that were all, they'd seen better days, let's put it that way, with a little note saying that the gentleman that owned it had lived in Woodston for 60 years, had passed away, and they were gnomeless. and could we give them a home? So we painted them up, so we had a competition with the children to name the gnome. And another one, the lady's moved from the area now, but she worked for B&M's, and they were going to chuck out all these spring bulbs. So she carted them, 6 bags, carted them over the bridge, and when we counted them, there was 1,500 bulbs in there. So I thought, we got better with blending them. But we did pass them round to all the neighbouring areas as well, and they look absolutely fantastic in the spring. But anything... My friends, they go for dog walks, and they go skip hunting now, so they never go past a skip without coming back with some chairs. And my husband, poor husband, I cut holes in the chairs and make planters out of them. So we've been working really hard. Waitrose, again, thanks to Alan, gave us another donation. And the nice part about that is Alan spread it between the Grove, Tower Street, and then we got a splinter group as well. We used to meet at Charlie's, which is at the beginning of our street, and have breakfast. And we've got a splinter group now that have moved to the back of Tower Street, which is David Chalmers Close, and they have done their areas as well. So we've pooled resources with the Waitrose funding to buy battery operated tools, so that makes it much easier to manage the street. So it's been fantastic, and thanks to Alan to keep pushing us to work on the street, we now stand independently, and we've got our own funding from Verador, and we're hoping to we're in the process of creating a community fruit garden, and that's what you saw, John, when you came down. I painted the fence and had a go at doing a mural, which has been greatly received. So huge, great sunflowers, which made up for the snails that ate all of my sunflowers this year.
Little devils, aren't they? Little tinkers.
I will not be beaten. I am going to paint them on the fence forevermore. And the other lovely news that we had with the street then is it goes into a quiet area, and then there's an alley that leads to the school. So we get lots of mums and children coming through the alley back and forward at school times. So St Augustine School, we got 40 children in the summer, and they painted all the way down the alley. It was just at the time that the Queen unfortunately had passed away, so we've got a nice mural in the middle with Rest in Peace to the Queen and God Save the King on there, and they just loved it. I think they would have painted every single house down the street if we'd have let them, didn't we? So that's lovely. And we've also turned the corner at the school, another bad fly tipping area. We've got all the kids to create anti-litter posters, and they've put them in front so there's no fly tipping there. So it is spreading as Alan wanted and wished. It is spreading slowly but surely to the surrounding areas.
And anyone who wants to dive in on this can do. What's it like for you, for your health, like for your mental health, for your for community? Mo, I spoke to you when you first you were the first one who...
I've only been here for 10 years, but I worked in London on the Underground, so I didn't know any of my neighbours, literally. The woman next door, the bloke next door, that was it. Nobody else in the street. But unfortunately I had a heart attack. So I took early retirement, and it's got me outside in the fresh air. I've also got rheumatoid arthritis, but it's been good exercise for me. I've lost weight, my health has improved. I've made friends with people. I was going to say,
when I first met you, you looked fit as a fiddle out there. You were working hard, hot weather.
But I had to actually give up work because like I said, I had a heart attack and I couldn't cope travelling to and from London and everything. But it's been great. It's been fun. Sometimes you can get a little bit, I can't do this anymore. But once you've had a good night's sleep and you wake up and you're like what we're doing now? What we're doing next? Yeah. Are you coming out to play? What are we going to do?
Well, talking about that...
I think that it just makes the street look different. It brings a smile to people's faces, which is a lovely thing to see.
And can I say about the rubbish and the fly tipping, because I know that it's a big problem, and this is my little mantra is litter, is since we've done it, before we started doing it, I went out every week and got 2 bags of rubbish from this Harford street. And since we've done it, I can, one carry a bag every 3 or 4 months?
Goodness me.
And no
There might be
tipping.
1 can, 1 bag of crisps.
Yeah. A lot of it flies in from the top of the street, like today when it's windy. So it really has, the cleaning up the area really creates that, don't drop litter. It's nice and tidy here.
So people listening to this might have a few thoughts, and one of them might be, well, why can't we do this on our street?
There's nothing stopping you if that's what you want to do.
That's what I want to hear, I guess. I mean, do you think that's... you kind of mentioned that you've got it seems like it's like a special community. I mean, is that true? Do you think... and you mentioned that it's spreading slowly to other streets as well.
Yes.
Do you think it's that we could do this right the way across Peterborough if we wanted?
So we've talked about it extensively, especially with Alan, who will... what can we do with the next street? I haven't finished with this street, Alan. And some streets, we've walked up and down Palmerston Road, so we've got quite a collection of different houses there. We've got some nice big houses at the end, but at this end, we've got houses that go straight onto the street. So we've got problems with people leaving their bins out and overflowing. We've got problems with parking, so that people can't get the pushchairs down. So the street looks quite grotty at this top end. So I've looked at that because they haven't got a lovely garden out at the front that they can do things with. So it is about joining a community. You've got your window space that you could use for saying, please don't drop litter. You can work as a team with your neighbours to bring bins in from off the street. There is more education, and I think the council are working on that, educational officers, about what actually goes in the green bin, because if it's not the right rubbish, it doesn't get taken away, and then it gets over full and it all falls onto the floor. So there are things that can be done. And then at the top of Palmerston Road is a raised bed, and there has been talk about, can we do something with that raised bed? And we've got raised beds outside the community centre. Can we do something with those? So it is a number. We've just got a few of the group here. There are a number of people that come out that work full time, so they can only come out and do a little bit at a certain time. We've got an Indian family down there, never done any gardening, but their little 4-year-old fell in love with Chucky, and so I helped his mum, and we spent ages, and he built his own Jack and Jill down the bottom. So it's about helping to educate people. We've got a website, a Facebook page called Woodston in Bloom, so if anybody's interested in advice, then we're quite happy to give advice on how we got started and what they might do. I went round to Belsize Avenue School and had a little talk with them about what they're going to do in their school ground. So it's just having those ideas. And what's been really successful about Tower Street is the inventfulness. So we've got a fairy garden, we've got a gnome garden, we've just made dinosaur land, with all sorts of recycled things. So it is that creativity that's made people look. Maybe if we'd have just put flowers, maybe they'd have walked through and not paid any attention. Because of the novelty of it, it's created that interest.
Is there anything you'd like to say about that, Councillor Dowson, about how getting this more round Peterborough?
We have a community fund of £160,000 at the present moment, started off quite recently. Each councillor, the 60 of us, has been given some freedom and some cash. For example, I've been given £3,000 cash, and that goes into the community, how the councillor sees what is a good voluntary group to sponsor. So my 3,000, 2,000 has gone to Brewster Avenue School for a sensory garden, kiddies there. I wish I'd had a bit more because I've got other...
You like giving money away, don't you?
Yeah. So each councillor has £3,000, and it's called CFL money. So if people would like to do such a scheme, they've got to get in touch with their councillors and say to them, have you spent that money yet? This is a scheme which 3 or 4 of us have got together for so-and-so street or avenue, and we'd like to have some funding according to the submission. And the council officers will give guidance as well about this. And if we can just do another street, 1 street a year, it would be a total change. But if we've got brave people like Pepper and her colleagues, then nothing is impossible. And I'm so proud of being a councillor with the people I represent. And I'll miss them.